Hi everybody! Today I'm going to be working on another one of my works in progress, and it's from this book by DaDa Mau. I've written down the title as being Magical Creature, but I could be wrong on that. This is the book, and that's the barcode information if anybody's interested. That's the front cover, and the actual WIP is this one here. And I think there was a couple of reasons that it was a WIP. It's been a WIP for quite a long time, actually, at least a couple of years, like most of my long time WIPs. I think one of the reasons was that because I was using Supertips and I was scribbling onto a plate with them and then picking up the colour with the brush and using them like watercolour. That's how I did this picture so far. And I think I went a bit too heavy-handed with the water, specifically down this edge here. And that's actually leaked through, like the next few pictures have all got this blue along the edge, so I was a bit annoyed with myself for doing that. And I think the second reason was that I didn't really know what to do with the colours. Once I got this far, I got a bit stuck with my colours, so hopefully I can go in there today and work that out, what I'm trying to do. And when I first started it, I only had the 50 set of Crayolas Supertips, so I'm going to stick with that. Try and match up the colours that I was using there. Try and get the same kind of effects going on and see what we can do. I'll try and match up the colours in here with what I was actually doing there. And straight of all, I can see that I've missed one of their hands there. So try this first colour. This is the other technique I use for painting with Supertips like watercolours, just scribbling onto a clean plate. Like a glazed plate, but you can use anything that's like not porous. I've seen people use like tiles, wall tiles and things like that, or even a palette or a piece of plastic, anything that you can scribble on and not have the colour soak into the material. So I'll try painting this onto her fingers. I think I might have gone a little bit dark there. Let's try watering that down a little bit. There we go, that's more like it. It looks like I might have shaded that with pink. I can't really remember because it was years ago, and I think this was one of my first attempts at actually using Supertips as watercolour. So yeah, that's probably why the whole thing with the water happened. I added a bit too much and went a bit too enthusiastic with it. I have actually got a little bit of a splash effect there as well, going through onto the moon. But yeah, I think I did manage to get a good few like watercolor effects going on with that, so I'm quite pleased with that. Let's see. I was thinking maybe we could carry on this red that I've got going on our scarf, and all this kind of drapey fabric, and carrying this on into the pot and doing that red with like gold in the lettering, because it does look like I've used a bit of gold Sharpie on there as well. It doesn't look, to be honest, like I've done a heck of a lot of pencil shading. There's a little bit on this kind of drape over her arm, but not much after that. So let me grab some scrap paper here and we'll see if we can try and match up a red. I don't have a lot of choice. It looks like it must have been this one. So we'll go with that and just try and do the pot. It's a pretty big area, so I might be able to get a few kind of effects going on with that, like I did down on this fabric here. Those are the kind of things I like. So we'll try and get that going. And it would be quite well lit, because the reason I picked this picture to work on is because the moon, there's a big old moon behind her there in the background. I thought that would fit in with my theme for the month of the moon. And this pot does look like it's being kind of backlit by this moon. So we'll try and make sure it's darker down this side. I can't remember what the paper is like, so we'll just give it a go and have a play around with it. That's what I like to do. That's the way you learn how to use these kind of art supplies and stuff. You play around with it until you're happy with how to use it. I'm not worrying too much about where I've gone over the line there. I can always take that out with a white gel pen. Oh, I think I might have been worried about doing this white because of the peach there, or apricot. But I think if we bring that round to be quite pale there, maybe that will work. There should be a pretty bright white highlight down this side anyway. Down this side of the pot because of the moon. So it's trying. Seems to be pilling a little bit or getting some kind of weirdness happening with the paper, so we'll just try and distract from that by adding some effects. With a bit of luck that'll blend it in, make it look like it's meant to be there. But I'm not entirely sure. Did I shade that? Looks like I might have shaded that with a little bit of pencil. Maybe, is there a darker red? Let's see, do we have a darker red? That's a kind of browny red. Let's see. What does that look like once it's wet down? Yeah, that might work. Okay. I'm going for it. And I want it to blend into the colour that's underneath and hopefully give a few watercolour effects, as I said, to try and disguise this bit of pilling we've got going on. So that's why I'm going on while it's still wet. To hopefully get a nice bit of bloom, watercolour effects going on, bleeding. I'm not entirely sure what that effect's called. I think it's called bloom, but you know, those kind of blobby effects I'm always going on about. I think that's what we need down that end. On the paper, yeah, it does seem to be pilling, but I remember distinctly doing this colouring with the Supertips, so I'm going to carry on with it. Maybe it'll look better once it dries. And on its own, that darker colour seems to be kind of a brownish. So I'll run with it. I'll run with it and I'll make it the bottom of the pot. Now for the sword. Okay, so this sword. The details can maybe be gold because I've been going with that quite a lot on this one, I think. And then I can just shade that with a pencil. As long as I keep the Supertips for the main lot of it, I should think I'll be okay. If I match that colour on the sword maybe to her leg armour. Is this actual leg, do we think? I'll put a bit flesh tone on there. Thinking that might be leg behind here. So like this kind of peachy skin tone that I seem to have been using. The hand hasn't dried too badly actually. I might see if there's a lighter brown I can maybe shade that with. This one would be too dark. Okay, yep, that's not too bad. Let's see, should we maybe bring in a lighter blue? Make it a pretty primary colour, red, yellow and blue with a little bit of green. But yeah, I don't think purple would work. Black might work. And then we can match the blue for her armour. Yep, black might work, I think. Do I have the black still in this one? I do. So if you use the black for her sword, it looks green when you put it down on the plate like that. But yeah, this is the black. This is the black. And I'm going to try and use that for this kind of sheath of her sword here, and then go in and put the details in with gold. Hopefully that will work. Let's see. Can cover up some of the smudging around the edge of that peach or apricot. I'll try and leave the pattern, this kind of gold, kind of filigree. I'll try and leave that, but I think the gold Sharpie, if that's what I use, that should cover it anyways. Or the gel pen should at least pretty much cover it. So any little smudges shouldn't matter too much, hopefully. And when we had that pilling effect sort of coming up on the jar there, that's as it's dried, it seems to have kind of disappeared a little bit. So now we know that's going to happen. We shouldn't worry about that too much. Let's try and blend out that black there a little bit. Just leave a highlight along the edge. maybe a little bit dark colour. Oh, nice. A little bit too watery, but that has kind of soaked into where the rest of the colour is. Oh, so hopefully that'll come up with an interesting effect. We can hope. Just a bit of a branch of the kind of cherry blossoms there, so I'll go back in with that. Some black. It's the same as watercolours. The more kind of water you add, more you dilute this, the paler the colour is going to get. So you do have to top it up with a bit more scribbling every now and then if you want your colour to stay black. But we'll probably be going over it with a couple of layers more anyways. Yeah, I think this black should work. Let's actually add a little bit more. I think it should work quite well for a sword. Make that a kind of red jewel in there. Maybe that would be cool. That bit there being behind her head. Maybe that would be a little bit darker. Still got a little bit of a highlight on the top. So yeah, as I said, I think this one was left by the wayside because I kind of didn't know where I was going with the colours. There wasn't a clear plan for this. I think it was mainly an experiment as using these Supertips as watercolours because I'd heard of it so many times. And this was probably at the time I finally figured out how to actually use them as watercolours. Because up until then I'd been, I think, drawing on the paper with them and then trying to take the water in over the top, which does work, but not on very many papers, and it doesn't work on this paper like that. So yeah, if I'd have tried that, I'd have been a little bit disappointed, I think. But it was quite a while ago. It does fit in with my theme of the moon for this month though, so we're going to go with it and trying to get it finished. And I think, yeah, that black's going to work quite well, I think. I might actually go in and shade it a little bit with a black pencil, because that seems to be what I've done down here on her boots. So yeah, there we go. Maybe bring in the red kind of ruby jewel there. Make the rest of these gold. Let's have a jewel there as well. And down on the handle. The handle itself, we do have the... Oh, figuring this out is going to be tough. We do have the red. The red in the jewels, we have the red on these tassels. These kind of ties, these leather ties, those are going to be black, I think, but I'm going to add those with pencil because that's a really fine line to be doing with a paintbrush. So if these are going to be gold, maybe we could bring in the lighter blue there and then take it into our leg armour and a shoulder armour. But I think we need a bit of a red on. Oh, this tassel's going to be red, isn't it? I would think on her shoulder armour there. Bring that in with the red. If there were too much of one colour in one place, it looks a bit unbalanced. To me, anyway. If there was too much red in one place and then all the blue was on the other side of the painting, then yeah, that would look a bit unbalanced. It's not a painting, it's a colouring page, but the theory is the same. And I think maybe this oval shape here should be the red as well. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I think that should work. Let's figure out which bits of this leg armour should be the lighter blue. Which lighter blue do I have? That one. Should probably work. Again, keeping it to quite a primary colour palette, except for the orange of her fur, but Yeah, maybe that will work to make her first stand out. I don't think I really thought about colour palettes. I wouldn't have got stuck halfway through like that if I did, would I? But no, I don't think there was much of a colour palette. Let's see. I think this girl, as I said in my works in progress video, I think she's some kind of a monkey sort of spirit, because there's a little picture of a monkey on the other side of the page. Can we see it? Just about. There's a little monkey. There he is. There's a little monkey, and it seems in this book that the figure is on this side and a kind of animal is on that side, like what the spirit or the creature kind of personifies. So I think this girl's supposed to be some kind of monkey, maybe like a trickster sort of spirit. If anybody can correct me on that, then please do so, because it's really interesting, all these legends. I wish I could read Chinese. I really do, with these books. They're gorgeous books. I just wish I could read what was down the side sometimes, and I'd know exactly what she was representing. The illustrations are gorgeous. I do have a few of these kind of Chinese books, and the first one my partner bought for me. Here I go, blaming him once again. So here we go. I'm just kind of making this up now. That means this should be blue. Bringing in this light blue as kind of an accent colour. I don't think there's going to be any fancy techniques I'm really showing in this one, so I'll probably cut out here and there. I think this edge would probably be the gold. Let's try and fill that in while I'm thinking about it. Give me a bit of a clearer picture where I want my colours to be going. I can see why past me was a bit nervous about figuring out what colours go where. I mean, at the moment I still haven't figured out what colour that big old moon's going to be in the background. I've done a couple of them silver while I've been colouring this month. This bit would probably be gold. Yeah, while I've been colouring this month, a few of them have been silver, so I don't really want to carry on doing silver moons. But I think leaving it white might look a bit blank. I don't know. We'll have to see once I've finished off the rest of this. No planning as per usual. I usually just figure out as I go along, oh, that looks like it should be this colour, that looks like it should be that colour. Yeah, I think that should be the black. And it's looking like I've done a few, because this is drying quite pale actually, the black, so it looks like I've done a few, maybe a few layers. Let's try. I do like the kind of effects we've got going on here, the wet and wet. Might need a bit more before we go into here, but yeah. That definitely looks to me like it should be black, and a few layers from the looks of it, and some pencil shading, because that black is pretty dark. That's pretty dang dark there. But it was Supertips, not watercolour. I remember that. I'll try and highlight the sides of it. It's kind of dots or something going up the edges of the black there. Maybe we'll just give them little white highlights and shadows to either side. Shade the gold. Yeah, I did shade the gold. It's my lazy gold. But yeah, I don't think I'm quite advanced enough to be trying to make a realistic looking gold with Crayola Supertips. I'm not that good. Let's give some black in here. Ooh, I could stick on some crystals on their boots there. I think I may have some red ones. And it's quite hard figuring out what colour this armour should be. Maybe we'll give a bit of red in there. I'm sure there was a darker red that I seem to have used here. So I might have a look into my 100 set in a minute and see if I can find a bit of a darker red. Otherwise it'll be pencil shading, and I'm not entirely sure that's what I did. There seems to be a little bit, but there is some darker shading. Okay, maybe what I did. Let's try. That's still damp. Did I actually draw on top? Because you can do that once it's dry. Obviously, you can go back over the top with your pens as they are. That would help make those dots have a bit more shadow. I'm not entirely sure that's what I did. This was a fair few years ago. Can I blend that out? Probably not a good idea while the paper's still damp, but I want to try. Too impatient, that's for sure. Yeah, that's definitely giving more of what I've got going on down here, I think. Because it's damp, it might blend out into what I've laid down already. Bit of luck. Let's see, hopefully when that dries, the kind of speckling will disappear like it did on our pot. Let's see what we can get going on this sword. Not entirely sure this is what I did, but it does seem to be working, so I will stick with it. And this is this sword should have been dry by now, so we'll see how it works. Oh, I smudged. Typical. Guess that means I will be colouring the moon. Silver or not to silver? This is the question now. I do have my metallic colours. I think maybe our Sharpie might be a bit too thick to be doing these, so maybe just putting a little bit of a kind of yellow ochre colour down as a base, and then a bit of brown pencil shading should hopefully work. And yeah, I might have to paint that moon silver as now. I don't know if a lighter blue would work. I'm not sure a lighter blue would work. That would be too much blue, I think, with the sky as well. But yeah, that black is working a lot better now. And maybe we can get a darker blue, hopefully not the same one as the sky. I put a bit of shading onto our light blue. The moon's behind us. I'm not entirely sure where the shadows will be coming, but yeah, you can go on top with darker colours. Obviously not with lighter colours unless you're using something like gouache or acrylic. But just like watercolours, if you start with the lightest colour, you can build up. Do a little bit of shading. I have used some white gel pen for highlights apparently, from what I can see. So I do love these books. I have a few of them by DaDa Mau. I don't work in them nearly as much as I should, but we can probably say that for all our books, I think. Just dampening the edge of that, hoping it will spread out. Maybe give me kind of blobby effects. And this black pen is drying quite nicely on there, so I may go in with a little bit more of that. Try and stay away from that blue where I just painted. A little bit of a shadow under there as well. Try and blend that out. I don't really want to bleed into that blue too much. Hoping this won't look too different to the rest of it once I'm done. I don't want it to be too obvious it was like left halfway done. It's bleeding into that blue a tiny bit. Should be alright though. Yeah, that's not too bad. Might do a little bit of that. Just putting it mainly where I wouldn't be too bothered if the lines don't dissolve too much, because I don't think this paper is super great for actually drawing with the pen and then dissolving the ink. I think it does wrinkle quite a bit because this one's been kind of packed pretty tight on the bookshelf, so it's fairly flat at the moment, but I think the paper does wrinkle. Again, yeah, maybe the gold for this part. I do love my metallic gold. I think the whole thing could be gold there. That might work quite well, actually. And for this kind of swirl here, I think maybe if we mainly go for that light blue. See, as I've added more water to this light blue, it has gone a lot paler. And it would be wise to actually test out what they look like once they dry, because colours are different once they dry sometimes. So I'll leave that there, and the next bit I think will be the red. I've used the dark blue from the sky. That's kind of a highlight colour there. And there. And I've switched to using the red, but it shouldn't look too bad, I don't think. I can maybe bring in the blue of the sky up here. And bring in the light blue that we used on his sword for this little bit of a sash that comes across their chest there. And this seems to be metal, so we might do that with the yellow ochre, kind of yellow ochre background. I was thinking of doing for the bits on a sword. I think we do need to bring in the blue of the sky for that. But again, I'm not entirely sure which one it is. I think this one. I'm going to go for that. It's probably not entirely the same as the blue for the sky, but I'll go for it. This is the problem when you leave your works in progress for so long. And you can't remember which colours you use, especially if you don't write it down. But then Crayola don't have names or numbers on, so I couldn't have wrote it down anyway. That's looking fairly close. I think that is the same kind of blue that I used for the sky. I've just filled in her shoulder pad there. And you'll see on the sky it's kind of got these kind of pinky tinges to it. And all that is, that's what happens when clean water is dropped onto that blue once it's been painted on. I'll see if I can get some happening here so you can see. Maybe let it dry a little, and then if you drop clean water on, this blue, that particular blue, spreads out and makes kind of pink stains. Let's see it happening there on the shoulder, hopefully with a bit of luck. And it shouldn't spread too much. And yeah, I've decided the rest of this is probably going to be the gold. Yeah, it's probably a lot of gold, but this is armour. So it's going to be metallic. I mean, silver would make more sense, I suppose. Or some sort of steel or iron, but we're talking decorative. It's a colouring page. It's not got to be historically accurate. It's a monkey spirit lady. She doesn't have to be historically accurate. Okay, where are we going now? Am I going to add any more of this gold while I'm thinking about it? Maybe this on the edge of her hand. On this band, maybe. And to me it looks as if that piece there should match that bit there, so that would be black, I'm thinking. Maybe that would match on her other arm, which would also cover the couple of times I've gone over the lines there on her arm. How are we looking now? I think maybe I'll try and find some sort of yellow ochre colour. Water it down. This colour seems to give yellow ochre, so I'm going to take a chance and go with it. See what kind of colour we get from this. Going over this. Oops, gone on to her shoulder pad a little bit there. This is the closest to kind of gold we'll probably get. And you can see there now where I dropped the water onto the shoulder pad, that kind of pinky tone coming through. And all it is clean water dropped onto that that kind of ink for Super Tip. I think it might have some purple or red or something in the actual formula for the ink, because when you drop water on that one, yeah, it does come up with that kind of pinky tone. So yeah, it's definitely the same pen I used for the sky. Maybe I'll try and find a brown and go and shade. Gonna shade these in. It'll be a bit of a challenge. Gone a bit too close to the edge there, but I can go in with the white gel pen and give that a bit of highlight. Look like the moon is shining on it. I mean, that will, yeah, at this point will probably have to be silver. I'm gonna run out of that silver paint. I'll have a look what other colours I've got there, but it's looking like silver for now. I think it probably works better having a little bit of red with these gems here. I do have red little red crystals and little blue ones, so I'll see what goes better for her. And the gems on her neither. Okay. So this swoosh here is a light blue, and I think it might be the red. So yeah, make this little bit of the detail on her boot. We'll make that red. Like that. So we've got the red, the light blue, and the sky colour down there. And what I was thinking was we could bring those in onto this shoulder pad. We might have some gold in this part there. Where would the red be? Let me see. Looks like clouds around the edge there. It does look like clouds around the edge there. So I'm thinking maybe I can bring in this light yellow if I figure out which one that was for this edge and go around these swirls with the white gel pen. That might work. That means bringing in the red with this gem probably. Leaving a bit of a highlight there, and I'll go back in and shade that. And we need pale yellow. I know there's a yellow in here that's like luminous yellow, so I'll try and avoid that one. So yeah, you're kind of seeing my normal creative process here. It's what do I think would work? But there's not, as I've said many times, there's not usually a full plan for every picture. And for complicated ones like this, I usually just do the main bits first, work the rest out as I go along. Or maybe add a little bit of that lighter blue with an accent colour and put it on this kind of swirl. Something like that. Try and shape that shoulder pad a little bit. It will look better once there's some like white gel pen and some bit more highlights and shading done on it. Just darken this little sash a little bit. Shall we go back to this black blue down here and maybe try shading that a little bit. I'll put some shading down towards the bottom. This leg is being lit from the top by the moon in the background there. I do have a few more kind of detail brushes here that I found. No markings on them. I don't know where they're from. They might even be the other halves, but I thought I might need a few more little detail brushes at some point, so I found these hanging around and procured them. Let's see if we can add a few little bits of detail. Possibly not 100% accurate to the line art, but it's quite hard to see when it's this small. And as long as you give a kind of impression, there's some sort of carving or something on there, nobody's going to look super close. A few little highlights on there would just look like some sort of metal. Looks more copper than gold, but some sort of metal was the goal. It's very limited colours, and as I've said, it's Crayola Supertips. You're not going to make a masterpiece. For me, this is the process most of the time. It's the fun. It's not looking too bad, actually. You can try another layer of the kind of ochre colour. A bit more shading towards the bottom. Just giving some sort of indication of some sort of carving there. Definitely see there's a kind of oval in the middle there, so I'll leave that to be highlighted. Yeah, I'm fairly happy with how that's coming out. Let's see if I can give a bit more detail to that chainmail. Or scale mail, is that a word? I seem to have heard that at some point. It's kind of like scales. I think some more of the darker ochre colour. Under her arm there where it would be in the shade, or under this kind of sculpture thing where it would be in the shade. Some white highlights on there, it should look some more metallic. I don't think I've been too skimpy with my highlights, and the rest of it, this jewel would probably have one. Again, trying to give some kind of impression that there's carving in there. Just put highlights on the top because that's probably where the light would be coming from, I would imagine, being backlit by the moon like that. Sort of like that. That's under this now too. I don't know if I could shade that with the dark brown. Usually I use a pencil to shade the Sharpie. I don't know if the kind of water soluble ink would go on top of it. As always, we can try. I'm guessing no, but we could try just on a little bit. Yes, I could always actually just draw with the pen on top. See how that works. Cheating a little bit, I suppose. And probably not what I did with the rest of it. That's not drying too badly, actually. Bit of an experiment, I've never tried that before. But that's how you find out if things work, right? Kind of too heavy-handed there, I think. Trying to beat that down. I'll probably go back into that with a black pencil at some point. This is the sky colour. I'm just trying to add a little bit more shading to this light blue. I don't know if it'll work. It seemed to look too bad. We've got no blue lines with the yellow here, so I'll just... using the black to put a very slight shadow onto her leg there. Let's add a black edge here. It's probably supposed to be the same white as the clouds I've got going on up there, but I think maybe black might work a little bit better. And the white highlight should, in theory, make it look a tad more metallic around the scales. Okay, we're going to go around this with the white, aren't we? Let's show up a little bit better on the actual clouds. I wanted this bit to be black, I think. Again, we've got that kind of speckling coming on that looks like it's filling, but once it dries on this book, it seems to even itself out. Let's maybe try adding a bit of black around where we had our cloud edging going here. Make it stand out a little bit more. I have to be a bit careful because the white gel pen is water soluble, so just kind of pat a little bit of water onto the edge there, very, very gently, try and spread that out a little bit. You might use the pen as is, just to get this black here a little bit more definition. That works quite well. Okay. Shade a bit behind this arm. I'll go into that red once I've found a darker one. Okay, we're just adding a little bit more of a slightly darker blue shading, not the sky colour, the kind of medium blue. We're adding a slight little bit there. Again, please apologise for my arm. Getting across there. The whole gauntlet should, I think, be black here. Put a bit of clean water on there, try to get an effect or two going on. Brown shading for this girl. Just being lazy and using the pen. It works for the black. Why not? Okay, time to figure out what we've going on up here. Let's trying to make a sort of cream colour. Because once you've got your pen scribbled on the plate, you can mix it just like you do with watercolour. So I've took the pale yellow, trying to add a little bit of brown to it. This may not work. Go for a very slight kind of cream colour. These wrappings. Hopefully that'll dry a little bit though, a little bit paler. And we'll have a bit of a cream colour. This was mixing the very pale yellow with the kind of yellow ochre colour, just to dull it down a bit. We don't want it as orange as that. I was going for kind of cream. Darker than the clouds, but not quite as dark as the gold, which hopefully would work. And I'll just carry that colour on behind here. And add some shading, probably some brown shading. Well, it's still wet. Maybe I need some of the actual orange gold for under there. I don't want it to look as if she's not wearing anything, so yeah, I think that kind of does it. Back to our kind of cream colour. Oops, that black is bleeding in kind of a little bit there, but that shouldn't matter too much because we want that shaded anyways. Maybe there we need to bring in a little bit more sky colour. And the cream for this little skull. I think I'll make this kind of cord here, I'll make that the sky colour as well. Put that in, and because this is actually in front of the moon, it's not in the sky, I can use it here as well. Completely making it up as I go along, usual kind of method. Oh, and our cream. Don't have any left. We can use for this kind of muslin on the jar as well. I'll try using some very diluted black as shadows here. There we go, blend in with the fact that our black actually ran there. Make it look as if it's supposed to have happened, I hope. I won't tell if you don't. Okay. Maybe we can use right on top. Maybe that's what I did here. Yeah, it looks like it might have been actually. There wasn't a darker red. It was using the actual pen on top as is. The dark there, do we think? Yeah, possibly. Let's try and get a bit of that pink coming through. When you put the clean water on top of that sky colour, and get a little bit of pink coming through. I do like that effect. Because you couldn't tell. Build up this blue a little bit more. Making a little bit wishy-washy. I thought I did before. Before it was a whip, it does seem to be a lot darker. I think there might be some pencil shading involved here, even though I can't quite tell. I think there's definitely some black pencil shading, so went a little bit wrong on the line there, but it's dissolved, it's all good. Nothing to see here. No mistakes, just happy accidents. We can blend that in just to put a little bit of shade on the bottom of that gauntlet. I think this part under here was one thing that was putting me off as well. Not being able to figure out what was actually going on there. Originally I was going to do it cream, the same as this kind of wrap top she's got going on, but I think making it the same colour as this kind of loincloth drapey part down there, that makes more sense. And that looks like it should be like that. You can do as many layers as the paper takes, really. This paper is pretty good. And my gut's telling me that this should be gold, so I'm going to go with it. Not entirely sure it'll work, but I'll be losing the detail on this kind of wing, but hopefully I'll be able to add something on top to make that make sense. And getting under there as well, looks like it's supposed to be. Yeah, that makes sense. Not sure what you should have going on there. Maybe a bit more red, actually. Try not to introduce many more colours. We don't want to get too chaotic. Let's add the detail to this rope. And a bit difficult with such a tiny brush. I think it looks like the rest of the beads on this necklace should all be the same as that one there. So I'll just fill those in with the red. Might need to put some more red on the plate. Just filling them in like a circle, leaving that highlight. Maybe make that cord black, I think. Last one behind her head. Yeah, that's supposed to be red, I think. Oh, it looks like I did do a bit of pencil shading as well as the pen on those, on the red drapey bits. So I'll go back into those a little bit later, but we're definitely getting there now. Let's see if we can add that detail back in on the gold, and then with a bit of white highlights, we should be able to make that work. Something like that. That kind of dragon wing bit is going to be difficult to make up. Stalling for time. Add a shadow behind there. Okay. Looks as if it might make sense. Doesn't have to be exact. But yeah, that might make sense, I think. And a bit of white highlights. Some lazy gold going on. Because, yeah, it'd definitely be hard to try and do with Supertips. I don't think it would be looking right if I tried to bring the pencils in for it. I think we'll probably have a bit of shadow behind that gold. Add some shading onto these beads on my necklace. Just going in with the actual pen. And there'll probably be some pencil shading on a few bits, I would imagine. Maybe on the gold, on this gold Sharpie. Try and make that look a little bit better, and definitely on these beads. This fur, I'm not sure, would actually be her arm, or like some kind of sleeve or something. Thinking about whether it would be the same colour as her hair or tail fur. Don't know. Just add that little rope in black there while I'm thinking. Bands over here as well. Okay, we're going to go for making the fur the same kind of colour as the fur I've used for her tail. For her tail and her actual hair. Hopefully this is the one. Yeah, I think so. brown for a little bit of shading. Trying to do these clouds. How was I doing those? Looks like it was yellow. Quite strongly near the top of the clouds. That's what's making the white gel pen stand out, I think. Slightly better than it did here. Hopefully that will dry something close. There's a tiny bit of sky that we missed there as well, so fill again. Okay, and underneath the clouds looks a sort of light purple. So hopefully this one. Not entirely sure that's the right colour, but I'm gonna go with it. Generally works quite well with yellow to do clouds, although I might have gone a little bit strong with the yellow. Let's try and dilute that a little bit. With some black shading there. Alright. Let's get these ties done. Just straight up with those with the pen, there's no point messing around, it's so thin. It's not shaded. Okay, well, I do get off with that as well. Yeah, I said this writing would be gold, so give some shadows very faintly with a very diluted black. This kind of muslin on top of the whatever's in this jar. Try and make this label look like it's kind of aged around the edges. Just to try and hide the fact that we went over with the red a little bit. So we'll give it a little bit of the ochre, try and blend it in. Maybe a bit of a darker brown around the edges. Well, it's still damp. I'll make this cord black. With a very, very tiny bit of water. Try and there we go, just try and dilute that. these edges. Maybe use the red just to add a little bit of shadow behind there. Blend it out very slightly. Again, we don't really want the white gel pen to be getting diluted there, so a very tiny bit of water. Almost dry. Just to neaten off those edges. Okay, I'll just use some of the diluted black to add a bit of shade under shoulder pad. These tassels haven't been shaded either. Let's try and add a tiny bit of shading to that skull. The top actually. With brown there. Looks like this branch is supposed to be in front of the lid, so I'll fill that in and just hide the other line with a bit of white gel pen. Or darken it a little bit maybe. There's a little bit gold on the edge of a sword that I forgot to do. And you'll be seeing the sky through the hole in her sword there. Alright, we are really getting there now. Okay, maybe I need to bring some shading in on this hand, I think, with a very, very diluted brown. They do dry kind of paler than when you put them on, a bit like watercolours, so hopefully that finger there is in shade anyway, so hopefully that will work. I'm still undecided on that moon. Should I leave it white? I'm going to try for now just giving the moon a bit of a white outline, going over the black line art with the white, maybe just tidying up a few edges. If it's a very, very light grey, I might try bringing in some brown there so that those little cherry blossom flowers will show up a little bit better. Maybe that might be a bit of a plan. This is some kind of bluey grey, so let's see how we can go. Maybe around this side, because then the flowers and this jar would stand out. Before I go in and try and do some pencil shading. Let's see. Just make these flowers, the kind of cherry blossom flowers, stand out a bit in this jar. I'm not going right to the edge because I want to make him look as if he's shining. I'll probably try to drop some water and stuff on there as well, see if I can get some effects going on. Because the moon obviously is all cratery, so the rougher it looks the better really. There's a bit of a smudge behind over there. Oh, that is slightly dark. Work it in. What do we always do? Work it in. That was totally supposed to be that dark, obviously. That's it. Now we got a bit of the right kind of effect going on there. You want these colours to really be giving those kind of bloom effects. If I don't know if I can bring it up far enough there to cover that little mistake with her hair. Maybe. It's working quite well to make those flowers stand out, so yay, mission accomplished. And I think it's better than doing the whole thing solid silver. I think that wouldn't be kind of matching with the kind of, I don't want to say the spirit of it, but you know what I mean, it wouldn't really match with the kind of Supertips watery sort of blobby looks that I'm going for with the solid silver of the moon. Bring it round a very little bit behind her here. Go and see if we can go up. Try and hide that bit of a smudge with the hair we had going on. Hopefully that'll work. And just look like part of the moon. Oh yeah. It's the kind of area where water drips are not a bad thing. In fact, let's try and see what we go on. It's not a bad effect actually. I'm quite happy with that. Yeah, that's giving the kind of a cratery effect that we were going for, so we'll stick with that and go bring in the pencils. Okay, brought in a few pencils here. First of all is a Van Dyke brown. Trying to improve on that shading I've got on the gold. These are Castle Arts and this is Van Dyke brown, as I said. I forgot that my moon's still wet. I might also put a little bit of shading into this fur on her arm. That seems to be what we've done there, I think. I don't know, it's a bit hard to tell when it was so long ago. There we go. When I bring the gold Sharpie onto my pencil colourings, I usually shade it with a dark brown of some description. Either Van Dyke brown or a burnt umber, usually. And then add the white highlights. It's just a quick and easy way to show the gold. This is black. I forgot to go for these with the black. Black pencil. Just add those in quickly. And this kind of string plaited rope. I don't know if I did shade these with black down here. It looks like I might have done. It's been a while since I did this method of Supertips like watercolours. It was super fun in my my Dragons and Dragonkin book. You can mix them if you put them on the plate. You can mix them a lot better. Just treat them like actual watercolours than scribble on a page. It's a bit more random. You do get a lot more control doing it this way, and you can, as I said, mix them on the plate. But I do love playing with watercolours and those little kind of bloomy effects you get when they mix together kind of on their own. leg is not standing out enough for my liking. That's a bit better. Yeah, a bit better. I also brought over the Indian red castle art, so I thought maybe I could shade these kind of beads and stuff a little bit better. Do like a bit more 3D with the actual shadow. Yeah, that's a bit better, I think. There was probably a darker red in the 100 set, but I just thought it would be a lot easier to go and get the pencil. It looks like that's what I've used in some of these shadows here. I don't think what I've done today looks all that different from what I did before, so yeah, that's what we wanted. Nice red. Let's add a bit more shading to these tassels. I'm thinking this will end up being more of a time lapse, so I hope you, if it is, I hope you guys don't mind, but yeah, it's taken a lot longer than I thought it would. I was thinking, oh, there's not much left. Yeah, like an hour tops, and we're already at 2 hours and 20 minutes. So yeah, there's me underestimating. So yeah, I will time lapse it for my little WIP on Wednesday, and if anybody wants to, see the whole process of what I actually did today, obviously starting from the starting point of where I had my WIP going on, I can do that up for you if you need. There we go. This is Indigo. This is Arteza Indigo. I'll maybe try and bring a bit more shading into this shoulder pad. Just to make the colour a little bit different from the actual sky, but still leave those kind of pinky bits. Oh, I've forgotten this bit. We still have any of our green, possibly. I don't even know if that's showing up on the camera. Let's darken it a bit. Keep bringing it back. So one bit I'm not totally happy with is this shoulder pad. Maybe that's helping. A little bit of shading is helping. Let's make that a bit more blue with the indigo underneath the clouds. Okay, that's not terrible. I'm a bit happier with that now. I think our jar might need a little bit more shading. I have no idea what's in this jar. If anybody can tell me what that kind of character says, that would be amazing. That's slightly better for especially with that kind of white side is standing out against the moon now. I've painted that little bit of grey on there. I think we're getting very close to calling it done now. I don't really want to overwork her because, yeah, the whole point is using the kind of watercolour effects, which are usually pretty subtle. I may have gone overboard on that shoulder pad. Where's the brown? Let's get the skull. A little bit more definition. Let's go. Some highlights on these tassels. That seemed to be what I was going for. Although, to be honest, when I first started it, it doesn't seem as if I had much clue how I was going to actually finish it, so. Shade under this on. That's what it is. I still don't know if that's her actually arm or a sleeve, or I've coloured it as if it's her arm, so. Like I've said before, I don't know much about these Chinese, Japanese legends, so. You just gotta colour it how you think it looks good. Yeah, still not 100% happy with that, but I think that could have gone better. But you live and learn. I'm not sure what's gone wrong with it. Maybe those white clouds around the edges should have been black. I really don't know. Might outline this in white. This area here has been a little bit complicated to try and figure out though, so I'm thinking I can forgive myself if it's not entirely to my liking. I wouldn't call it a complete failure. The rest of it, yeah, I'm pretty happy with the rest of it, to be honest. I can live with the rest of it. Before I forget, very nearly forgot actually, as promised, a little stick on crystals I'm going to give her for her knee pad. May make it slightly tough to colour the pages in front, but what I usually do is just put a big wad of paper in between, and yeah, there's not too much problem most of the time, just to be super extra. Alright, there we go. A few little crystals added there just to finish her off, and I'm going to call her finished there, I think, and leave it for today. She's turned out pretty well considering she was put on the back burner for so long, and the only bit I can say that I'm not completely happy with is probably this part of her shoulder pad here. I'm not entirely sure I did that quite how, it was in my mind's eye, but the rest of it, yeah, pretty happy with how that's turned out. Hope you enjoyed watching in on my colouring session today and came along with me. It was quite fun. It's been a while since I worked with super tips that way, by working on the plate and using them as proper watercolours instead of just colouring on the page, which is what I've been doing more recently. Yeah, so it was quite fun, even though it didn't turn out quite as I intended. I'm happy to be calling her finished now. So yeah, thank you for watching, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you in future videos. Bye!